Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are
above replacement radio.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on another side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. It is episode number 350 of Above Replacement Radio. Over nearly 5.5 years, 350 episodes later, we land on March 9th, 2025, going into, I guess, technically year 7 of the podcast, if you count the 2019 postseason as such. And as protocol states, you do a milestone episode, you bring in some of the homies, you do a draft. And this is the 6th draft in the iteration of this podcast. It is the 6th appearance of Nico Fiscella and Rob Dickey, who are joining us once again. Boys, welcome back to the show.
So happy to be back. Great to be here.
Rob is joining us from sunny Los Angeles, California, as he has relocated to the West Coast within the last year. So now we got now in preparation of these drafts, we got to figure out time zones. That's like if planning this wasn't already hard enough, now we gotta make sure that everyone is even like supposed to be functioning at the hour that we're doing. This
was the perfect time, the time that we picked today, and it is beautiful and sunny out here, and that's the primary reason I'm out here is because the less New England winters I have to deal with, the better for me.
He's already got the Diamondbacks hat on. I mean,
that's right. I'm a changed man. I got the Angels slippers below me too. So
this is probably the most
different guy.
This is probably the most diversity of location we've had for a draft. We've got Binghamton, Charlottesville, Los Angeles, and Torrington.
Yeah.
It's we're kind of all around the country.
Shout out, yo.
We're at for 400.
At one point, we were all in Springfield for at least one of them, I think.
Yeah, 3 of us in the same room, one of us at a house party.
Yeah. I'll never forget that one.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we are doing the bold predictions draft today. Daniel came up with the idea, and this stems off of something that the Effectively Wild podcast did. Daniel, do you want to go over what this draft will be today?
Yeah, so this is like Chris mentioned, this podcast is inspired by the good folks over at Effectively Wild, which is the Fangraphs baseball podcast. So I listened to them do this draft last year. I thought it sounded really fun and that we should do it for the next milestone draft because it just so happens to fall 2.5 weeks before opening day. So it's the perfect time to start making predictions about the upcoming baseball season. So basically how this works, this is it's a fixed order draft, which is unlike the other drafts, which were snake drafts that we usually do, where everyone will go around and make a prediction for the 2025 season. It's, as you'll probably tell, we have a very diverse set of ideas here in terms of what we're predicting. And basically the way that this works is we'll each make 10 predictions and we will send them to a friend of mine, Brian Butler, who was on the last draft, but unfortunately was unable to join us today as he is at Rays spring training. But he will be looking over all the picks and assigning a probability of each one between 1% to 99%. And the probability will be a very big determining factor in the scoring here because say Brian decides that a prediction will have a 20% probability. That means if it comes true, the person who predicted it will receive 80 points, and if it doesn't come true, it will get 20 points. So, more likely picks will result in less points if you get it right, but more points if you get it wrong, and vice versa. So, there's a lot of strategy involved here. There's a lot of, trying to figure out, do you go bold? Do you go mild? Do you mix in both? What kind of routes do you go? So we got 40 predictions to make total. The draft order is Nico, Rob, myself, and Chris. And without further ado, Nico Fiscella is going to get us started here.
See, I'm more excited to see what my takes get graded back as, It's like when you pull up a baseball card, you got to see what the rarity is, I believe in my takes. You know, some of them are a little bit crazier. I got a little bit less faith, but like this first one, for example, like I think it's kind of crazy when you look at this team. I'm talking about a team I'm gonna bank the under on here. They got a win total right now of 90.5. They just had a big offseason signing. They brought a New York outfielder back into New York, kind of, when I'm talking about Jesse Winker here. But there's so much talent in the National League that realistically, if the script goes the wrong way for New York, I think the Mets could miss the playoffs.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
right off the bat.
You look at the bottom half of that lineup, and again, I know Jesse Winker had a really good playoff run, but even when he was with the Mets in the regular season, he was a below average player. You could argue Vientos kind of played above his expectations last year. And it's going to be he can replicate it, but I think again that lower half of the lineup might not be able to hang. We've already seen some injuries in spring training already to the rotation. Griffin Canning is, I think, the number 5 starter right now. I think that speaks for itself. So you got a team that's projected 90.5 wins, but I kind of compare them similar to the Red Sox, and where like there's an easy route to success, but I think that could fall just as quick. And with you talk about all these other teams in the National League, unfortunately, someone from the NL Central has to make it. But you got the Braves and the Phillies in that division alone, and then of course the West. You've got 4 competitive teams out there. There's a pretty I see the route where the Mets miss it.
Okay, so the official wording is just the Mets missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to find what are the playoff odds right now.
Well, I think they're projected second in the division. I think the Braves are projected like 3 wins higher.
Okay. To make
Looking right now.
playoffs.
Looks like
think
the
my
Mets are being given a 63.7% chance on
Yep.
Fangraphs to make playoffs.
So that would be theoretically what I can't do math in my head. 37% chance,
Hey,
which we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
we're
see
taking
how
that
we'll see
right
how
now.
Brian grades it. It's not up to Fangraphs. It's up to our one trusted source here.
yeah,
the Mets have the oh
my first regret of this draft is not having like an hour-long conversation with Brian about his thoughts on baseball this year. 'Cause I feel like I could have really gotten some insider info and,
Oh,
and appealed
Nico
to
just
appealed
Lost
to
Nico.
authority. He just dropped the mic. He's
yeah.
he's
Well, I
not.
guess that brings it to me then, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
we'll wait for him
Yeah.
to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the intro. Now I'm
Yeah.
debating which one to start with. I think I've got it locked in which one I'm going to start with.
Do we pause or
Yeah.
want this on recorded?
Oh, you know what? Let's keep it. Maybe some happens.
I did my microphone just dropped and I did drop an F-bomb, so I don't know if that came in.
I didn't hear it. I saw your mic drop. I didn't hear that though.
A lot of the I think some of the drafts have had profanity in them, which is fine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, my
I,
bad.
I
I probably contributed a
when
little
Bono
bit.
took Colin Cowgill in the first, I haven't heard that name in years draft. It caused like I think the one and only Daniel Curran. Actually, no, there have been 2 Daniel Curran swears that I can recall in the podcast. One of them was that. The other was the live reaction to seeing the Will Craig play from 2021,
I
which is
swore
the
on
most justified swear of all time. I think.
Most
swore on
justified swear.
I swore on 89.9 Springfield
That is true.
when I
Yeah, Chris
mispronounced
got FCC'd.
I mispronounced underestimating twice in a row, and I had to just drop half of an F-bomb. Because I forgot that I was on live radio, which
Chris,
I don't think
going back
anyone.
or who was Chris, going back to what you said about your big regret not having a conversation about Brian. I do have the advantage here having spent the entire winter meetings with him. That was
Yeah.
that was the big that was really my plan for this draft, actually. That's why I went to the winter meetings.
Always
Well,
one
that's all
step
right. I like
ahead.
being an underdog, and I'm ready to go with my first
Let's
pick, which
hear the
is one of the
take.
only ones that I think could possibly get taken. So I think that's why I'm gonna leave with that. We're gonna go to the American League. We're gonna talk about some young guys. We're gonna talk about some rookies because this American League Rookie of the Year class is stacked. But a name that I don't think is really getting talked about enough that I think has a realistic chance to win American League Rookie of the Year, and my prediction will be as follows: is Christian Moore. Christian Moore will win the American League Rookie of the Year. The Angels are notorious for bringing up top prospects immediately with as few minor league time as possible. We're talking about Zach Neto. who only had 49 games in the minors. I can never say his name, but Nolan just help me out here.
Shenowell.
Yeah, thank you. With 22 games in the minors before being brought up to play first base full time for that team. I feel that Christian Moore is going to be on a similar path. He mashed the ball in 2024, whether it be at the single and double A level or in college at Tennessee. So I think that we're going to see him early in the major leagues. There's not really a lot of competition for at bats out there. I mean, you got Tim Anderson right now. If Zach Neto starts on the injured list, then Tim Anderson will be slotted into a starting role. Yohan Moncada is slotted into a starting role right now. Luis Rengifo has been supposed to be traded for like a year to 3 years now. So I think that we're going to see regular big league at bats for Christian Moore. And I mean, if he's able to put up some consistent offensive numbers at the big league level, I think the voters look at that. And if the other rookies struggle, which is very possible for guys early in their MLB career, I think we could see Christian Moore winning the Rookie of the Year in the AL.
Just curious,
Wonderful.
do you know who do you have as like his like toughest competition this year?
Oh, I mean, there's a few. I mean, you look at Joby in Detroit, and I think that he's
Job.
going to have. Huh?
Job.
Thank you. In Detroit, I think that he's going to have a monster season. I think that Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell in Boston are going to have a monster season. But I mean, we're talking about getting a little bold here. So it's Christian Moore. Period.
Yes, sir.
So I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
worried about the competition.
It don't matter.
Don't matter who's the competition.
All right, so I guess that sets up my first pick. I've been brainstorming for this draft since like the start of 2025. We decided on this draft a couple of months ago, and I've just been thinking outside the box, thinking about anything, and I think your guys' two first picks set me up perfectly for a really captivating first pick here. A World Series game will be postponed due to inclement weather.
Nice.
I've thought really long and hard about it. I can't remember a time that it's happened. Like in my experience as a baseball fan, this would have been a great prediction in 1989, but I'm gonna bring it back.
You better
The
hope.
closest thing I can think of is 2016, Game 7.
Yeah.
With the rain delay.
You better hope it's not Astros D-backs.
That's the thing. Like
World
this is going to affect like how I watch the playoffs and who I root for. Like if we're looking at a Mets Diamondbacks NLCS, like I gotta root hard for the Mets here because we need rain coming in late October.
Yeah, if you got like try to think who else would apply. If you got like the Twins out there in a World Series, like you could really we could see snow in Minnesota. Like we could really see some stuff going on. But yeah, you got to factor in who might play.
I just want to say real quick one last thing. Like Nico and Rob had both had like big breakdowns for their first picks. Don't expect anything from that like that from me in this entire draft. All this is just going to be here it is. That's it.
I got some with a breakdown.
Because I don't know how am I supposed to justify why I think a game in 6 months will get rained out.
Yeah, Daniel is a well-known meteorologist, and he has the
well, I have access to a couple meteorologists.
He does. He works in news, and they don't reveal it, but they have 7-month forecasts out there. So
yeah, I got an anonymous tip.
He knows what's going to be happening October 26th in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my prediction is just a matter of progression, and I'm only really picking it because I think it might be a possibility that it could get picked by someone else. So in 2023, we saw a 40-70 season. In 2024, we saw a 50-50 season. Why not a 60-60 season in 2025?
By who?
Oh, just from anybody?
Anybody, yeah.
Okay, I did have a similar prediction, so that one will go off my board.
Here we go.
I like
60-60. Why not?
All right.
Lots of reasons why not, but still.
Is this is like only regular season, right? Like if a guy has like 59 homers, then hits another one in the postseason, are we counting that?
Nope.
All right. So there will be a 60-60 season.
Yep.
All right, and now we go back to Nico here as we are not going to do back-to-back picks in this draft.
Okay, well, I'll go with one of my takes that I'm not gonna throw too many numbers with. Kind of just like I love my guy here. I'm talking about big old Schwellenbach in Atlanta. I think he's gonna have the lowest ERA of their starting pitchers by the end of the year. I think
So like
well,
any minimum, like 10 starts, 15 starts, just
yeah,
guys
I
in the
would say
rotation.
yeah, I mean like to qualify. So like yeah, you throw 10 starts there, but I think between him, I mean his biggest competitors this year being Sale and Lopez. I mean obviously Sale's coming off a great year. Lopez had an impressive year as well, but two guys that you could look at as regression candidates. And Schwellenbach, I mean that Savant page, I see a whole lot of red, and that Atlanta lineup. I don't know. I think that's just an easy choice for someone to pick. There's just like a quick riser.
All right, so I'm typing in Spencer Schwellenbach will have the lowest ERA in the Braves rotation, and then we'll think of a like just a qualifier just so we don't have a guy like technically making two scoreless starts, like
Yeah,
you know, on technicality winning it.
Ian Anderson is not stealing this from my boy.
Have you
He might be in
factored
the opening day
in the
rotation.
random Brave starter that will have a sub two?
What's that?
I'm asking Nico if he's factored in the random Brave starter that will have a sub two.
Yeah.
See, like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Lopez
I think
last year, Elder for a little bit the year before. Have you factored that in?
I'm telling you, it's gonna be Schwellenbach. He's gonna be that guy.
Oh,
I
he's
mean, I
gonna
don't
be the
know.
guy. Okay, I got you. I got you.
He's gonna be that guy. I mean, he had like a 3.3 last year, but he's gonna take another step.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
I'm going
because
to follow that up with the top three players. I'm going to stick in the National League East. The top three players in the Nationals order, I'm talking about CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, and James Wood, will all put up 5+ WAR seasons.
Okay. So we're talking B War or F War here.
We're talking F WAR, although B WAR probably would have been better, but F
But we
WAR
are talking F War. Okay.
is my favorite. That's the one we're sticking with. I really need a CJ Abrams bounce back, specifically defensively.
I was gonna say defensively is the problem.
If we're gonna do that. But you know what? Like you said, I believe in my guy, and I think that we could be seeing a Dylan Cruz breakout. I think we could be seeing a James Wood breakout in more ways than one. So, top three guys, 5+ F1.
Some would say you're taking a gamble on Abrams.
Some would say. Some.
Nice.
This
like
early in the morning, Rob, at 12 p.m.
It's
Hey,
early in the morning.
it's officially afternoon out here. It's
That
it's
is true. That is
12:27 now,
true.
so we're looking good.
Yeah, it was 8 a.m. in Chicago when that
True.
went out.
True.
All right, so this is the actual one prediction that I thought would get scooped up only because Chris like a couple months ago made a comment on the podcast insinuating something like this could happen. So I was gonna pick it first, but then I thought about the World Series rainout prediction, and I thought that would be a great start to the draft for me. So I decided to postpone this one second in hopes that Chris didn't take it. I have Brent Rooker out homering Aaron Judge.
Ooh.
It's a very simple one. You made a comment when we were talking about him getting extended, being like, yeah, he could like, I don't know, lead the AL in home runs. And I was like, oh, because I had already written the prediction down at that point. And I was like, I don't know what you just said.
Yeah. For the record, I did not have that in my list, but
No,
did
I
see
didn't
that.
because I had still been going back and forth about where I wanted to put this prediction. But then I found out you were very likely not going to put Brent Rooker in your top 50. So I was like, okay, I think I'm safe from him taking that one.
Right. Um, and you said you made a comment, and then my brain immediately went to
I didn't. You said it there, and it did the same thing.
I made a comment earlier tonight that I am deeply ashamed of. All right, on to my second bold prediction. This revolves around a team I've been pessimistic about almost the entirety of Above Replacement Radio. The Angels will lose more games than the White Sox this year.
Whoa. It's okay.
The
The White Sox
battle
won
for
41.
last.
The Angels won 63 last year, so that's a 22 win difference
Yeah, and I say
last
lose
year.
more games purposefully because I think the White Sox could be one of those like 161 game
Fair.
seasons. So it's like, oh, if it gets close, why not say lose more games? Because I think the Angels are less likely to have a game not be made up due to weather. So yeah, Angels will lose more games because they kind of stink, but I think most people would say obviously the White Sox will be the worst team in baseball, and there's lots of good reason to believe that. So, but yeah, bold prediction: Angels lose more games than the White Sox.
I had a similar one to that. It just was not the Angels.
Mm.
I wonder if I will still. I don't think I don't think I'll use it now.
I think I might know what team you're talking about.
You probably do.
Yeah, man, I wish Nico were here.
Yeah.
Nico is operating on a laptop that was around during Cleveland's last World Series. So
Classic 1948 laptop.
yeah.
There it is.
Ta-da.
Hey.
This computer is on its last legs. We really do need to invest in a new one. This might be the final podcast on this dying piece.
I would hope so. If it lasts another 50 episodes, that'd be pretty crazy.
It definitely doesn't. Yeah, I literally had to take a picture because having Google Chrome on this thing at the same time is gonna make it blow up.
Okay.
But to get a little bit crazier here, if we're not gonna spit too much facts with it, and it's funny because I said this as an example, and I think this might hit a little bias of our judge here. But why not Cincy? Like the NL, like I know I've in the past I've doubted these Milwaukee Brewers. Like every year they do it. But like the Red, if we're gonna grade a team strictly off vibes, the Reds got it. Like the Red, I mean Tito's over there now. Ellie's bringing a new type of hype out there. You get a healthy McLean back. Spencer Steer was a little unlucky last year. I think he can continue to cook. Is Hunter Green going to be the Byron Buxton of starting pitchers, or does he actually figure it out? He could. Brady Singer, maybe he adds stability. Vibes, checked off. I'm there.
I mean, honestly, playing to Brian might hurt you. He might see it as more likely and give you less points if it's right.
That's what I'm saying. I know. It's almost more bold of me to
But
say this straight
but
to your
that means
face.
less incorrect points if you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think again, if we're going off a little bit of a hot take, that's not too much that I can explain numbers wise. They passed the vibe check. That's all they got to do. They got to make a documentary about them and maybe not the the Red Sox last year.
Can we talk about the fact that they're releasing that after the season starts? That like annoys me so
Yeah,
much.
that was very questionable.
Vibes are
Like, you
gonna be
know,
weird.
I get it that I'm sure they had to spend a very long time having like hundreds of people look through like hours and hours and hours of footage and had a long time to put it together. And I get that. Like, is there no way it could have been released like during spring training? This would be the perfect time.
Oh, perfect.
A little bit of hype up before the season. We
Yeah,
know MLB and
especially
their
especially
marketing.
like now that there's reason to be excited about the Red Sox for the first time in a while. Like, I don't want to stop watching my team that I'm happy about to go back and reminisce on an 81 and 81 team.
Right.
Well, I think the first maybe 30 minutes will be cool, and then it's gonna hit the trade deadline. And then,
I
and then
think
I want
it's
to know how
well,
they made
dude,
content.
it's Nico. It's an 8 episode
Yeah, I was gonna
documentary.
say it's multiple episodes.
Oh, oops. Well, yeah, your
Yeah,
point still stands. You get to the trade deadline part, that's gonna be interesting.
I see. I don't know if it's like actually a recap of the season or if it's more like a behind the scenes into the clubhouse. Because like from what I've heard, it's like it centers around like Casas, who obviously didn't play for most of the year, and also Jaron Duran. So like I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be as linear structured as like just the season goes. Like I'm very curious to see how it is actually
Right.
presented. Like I do wish it was earlier, but regardless, like I don't know if it's going to be like and then in game 8 they won. Like I don't
Right.
think it's going to be like that.
Well, we'll find out when we're getting excited for the new season.
Yeah.
Well, I'll continue the trend of getting excited for the new Red Sox season, and I'll take a Red Sox one off the board real quick. I think that Richard Fitz spends the entire season as a member of the Red Sox rotation in the big leagues. I think that that's probably one that's going to raise some eyebrows a little bit, but Craig Breslow loves him. We know that he traded for him from New York last season. We're already talking about some injuries with that Red Sox rotation, whether it's Cutter Crawford or Brian Bayo, who's sidelined for a little bit of time. And the Red Sox were talking about using a six-man rotation for a little bit. So I don't think that this is the craziest thing in the world, especially because Fitz has shown it in September last year and in the spring this year. So I think that he spends the entirety of the year in the Red Sox rotation.
Do you want to like put some kind of number on it so that we can like track like whether it happens or not?
What do you mean, like a certain amount of starts?
Certain amount of starts, certain amount of innings, batters
Yeah,
faced.
we can throw. Let's throw 27 starts.
Okay, perfect.
Rawr.
I think that's a
20.
good.
I think he's making
I
a
think that's a good
lot
mark.
of starts for the Red Sox. Obviously, barring injury, but you can't say a bold take barring injury. So
Right.
he's spending
Well,
the whole
yeah.
year in the rotation.
All right. I'm gonna stick in the AL East. This has not happened. Well, not that there's been a lot of opportunity for it to happen, but it's never happened in the 6-team per league playoff era. And I think that this could be the year that we see it. I think all 3 American League wildcard teams will come from the AL East. Right? It's a competitive division. Every team wants to win this year. There's no rebuilding. There's no like retool. Well, there is retooling, but every team in that division has the goal to make the playoffs. I think the AL West looks a little weaker than it used to. The Central is always the Central. I think, I don't even want to put any teams specifically down. I just think that we will see 4 playoff teams come from the AL East, and the 4, 5, and 6 seeds will all come from that division.
Yeah,
Like that.
absolutely.
I think when you said that, we all kind of like nodded in agreement. Like I think that's when we get the grades back. I think that's going to be a lower
For
risk
sure,
one.
for sure. But it's still relatively bold. Like they'd have to fend off because they're all playing each other.
Right.
So like that's gonna take wins and losses away. But yeah, in the standard of bold predictions, it's definitely a bit more likely, but still
Just out of curiosity, of the AL East, what team do you think takes the biggest step back from last year?
I honestly haven't really looked at like team standings and stuff. I'll save that for the season predictions pod, especially because I don't want to say anything now that might go against the prediction that I just made a minute ago.
Yeah, check out episode 352 for our standings predictions.
My favorite episode of the year, every single
Yeah,
year.
I think. Oh, that's a must watch.
Hell yeah. Love to hear that. Love to hear. It's always super long too, so you could it's basically like an episodic Netflix series, you're gonna have to tune in like 7 or 8 times to get the full experience. My third bold prediction, and I feel like this is a possibility this year, maybe more than any other year in history, but a starting pitcher will win the Cy Young without qualifying for the ERA title.
Nice.
Yeah. There's like a short list of like maybe 4 or 5 pitchers I could see doing it. And I'm not going to name them because I want it to be left up to imagination, and I want my score to be accounted for with it. So, but there's a decent list of there were some pitchers last year who maybe didn't throw a lot of innings but dominated the innings that they did throw. So I could see that happening this year, and I could see, injuries get in the way. So the likelihood of some 200 inning starters being out there is it, that number usually goes down every year. So yeah, I see this, I could see this happening for this year.
It's a good one. I like that prediction.
I'm gonna go with a player topic here, but I think something we haven't thrown yet, where I think that Wilson Contreras will be traded at the trade deadline.
Okay.
I don't think it's too crazy to say. I think the Cardinals are going to be, mediocre birds. And you're looking at Contreras now where they're going to move him full time to first base. We know the bat's going to be there. And I feel like, if you got a 115, 120 OPS player at the deadline as a first baseman, there's going to be somebody hungry, whether that's New York, whether that's Milwaukee. There's going to be somebody that wants just a good, hitting first baseman. And yeah, I don't know. The birds are cooked, unfortunately.
Not a bad one. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right, I'm gonna start getting a little bit crazy before I dial it back in for a second, and I'm gonna say that out of all of the teams that won a division crown in 2024, none of them win it again in 2025. None of
No
them. I
repeat.
think
There will
that
be
we're
no
gonna
repeat
have
division winners.
some crazy competition for every single division. I think that the Astros are taking a step back. Obviously, the AL East is up for grabs. The AL Central is always up for grabs.
What about the NL West?
What's that?
NL West?
The NL West is the big one, but
Yeah.
this is the same prediction show. This is the bold prediction show.
That's good.
And you
I
saw
like
the
it.
Giants ad, you saw the Diamondbacks ad, the Rockies exist.
Oh, put that
So
away. Put that away.
None of
Don't say that.
I said it. Strictly facts. Strictly facts.
They do
exist.
exist. Like
None of the
everything you
teams
said was
are
correct.
going back to back with the divisions this year.
So you're saying
Okay.
that the Dodgers didn't ruin baseball, and you're going to watch because it is going to be competitive.
Yes, and that might be the
Wow.
boldest take of all.
That's the
Dodgers
boldest
didn't
prediction
said
win
all day.
baseball. Yes,
I was about to
that is
say,
right.
so you took a prediction off my board because I was going to say the Dodgers will win less than 130 games, but apparently, that's
Yeah.
already taken. So,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, it is me now. So my fourth prediction was going to be a home run stolen base combo related prediction, but Chris took that from me. So I'll just tell you right now, it was I had Ellie De La Cruz 2080 season, but that one's I don't want to do another one of those. I want to keep it kind of fresh. So my backup prediction, this actually became a little bit more likely in the last 48 hours. But Clay Holmes will post the most FWAR of any pitcher in New York.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Which
Wow.
there's Garrett Cole might not be a part of the equation now, but there's still Max Fried, there's still Carlos Rodon, there's still Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea when he gets back. There's plenty out there, and he's obviously making the transition back to starter now. So yeah,
There we go. Yeah, that would be certainly interesting. My fourth prediction, this might piggyback too much off of my last prediction. So if the council thinks I should make another one, I'm free to change it. But my fourth prediction is no American League pitcher will reach 180 innings this year.
180.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one. I like it a lot.
I think you're good. I mean, I'm not the
Let's
council, but I think you're
Go
good.
Seth Lugo.
Yeah, Seth Lugo, unfortunately, maybe an inning less per start, or maybe he doesn't make every start, but I don't know. I don't know if you've heard, but these pitcher injuries, they're pretty crazy.
No one.
There's
I don't know
lots
if you
of-
heard, but on this day in 1997, Greg Maddux threw a 54 pitch complete game. This is known as 1 2/3 innings to today's starters.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna kind of bring I have my next two takes are gonna kind of go off of like Rob's like division because it's talking division winners. I'm gonna spice again. We're gonna get a little bit bolder here. I'm gonna spice it up a little bit more here, but to kind of go off of Rob there, I'm gonna represent the hat that he's rocking, and I'm gonna say that they could if there is a team that's gonna take the Dodgers down, I think it's the Diamondbacks. I was originally gonna say that they were gonna have the second best record in the National League, but if we're going all out, go all out. They had Burns in that rotation. I would say if it's not a top five, I call it top three. But I'd say it's certified top five rotation. That Penn's got some dogs. The lineup's consistent all the way through, and we saw they just went to the chip. Corbin Carroll was not the player he was last year, at least in the first half. You get some part of that back. If there is a team to take down, the super team, I think it's going to be that pool party in Arizona.
So what's the prediction? Like that they win the division, that they beat them in the playoffs?
I'll say they win the division.
Okay.
Which, yeah, the Dodgers win total right now is 103.5.
Nice. I like that too. Okay. Well, then I only have one division winner on my list, but since we're on the topic, I'll just do it now. I think that the Rays win the American League East. I have been very much in on the Rays for a long time now, as I'm sure the three of you know. So I think that was probably the most expected pick of mine for this draft. It's my only division winner, but following up Nico, the Rays are going to win the American League East.
Excellent.
No more Tropicana, baby. At least not for this year.
At least not for this year. That's right. I think this is my favorite prediction. It was one of the first ones that I came up with. For the first time in baseball history, a pitcher will strike out 300 or more batters in less than 200 innings pitched.
Nice.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I just see too many Paul.
I'm not gonna put a name on it. I think there's a few guys capable. The minimum strikeouts per 9 required would be 13.5. That's if you're striking out exactly 300 in exactly 199 and 2/3 innings pitched. We've gotten close a couple times. Spencer Strider was close in 23. Garrett Cole was kind of close in 2019. It's never happened though, and I think this could be the year that we see. I think we're kind of trending in the direction where it happens eventually. It's obviously going to take a big strikeout season, but yeah, 300 strikeouts, less than 200 innings.
That's a fun one. I enjoy that. And yeah, there's definitely, I would agree. There's definitely a short list of guys who have that possibility. So yeah, my next bold prediction has a little bit of historical context. I think it's been widely spread that it's been technically 21 years now since the Giants have had a 30 home run hitter. So I'll double down and say the Giants will not have a player hit 20 home runs this year.
Whoa. I thought when you said double down, I thought you was going to say they would have 2 players hit 30 home runs.
That's what I thought he was going to say
No.
too.
No one's
No
gonna
one hit
20.
20 home runs.
Sorry, Giants. You might have some good pitchers, but yeah, no one will hit 20. All right, on to Nico's next pick.
Again, I'm gonna be this one's contradicting Rob here on the divisional winners because again, I made that joke about how like, every year you look at that Brewers roster and you're like, all right, who's gonna be the guy that randomly in the bullpen has a sub two, how are they gonna win the division? And it shocked me when I looked at it earlier today that the Guardians win total for the year is exactly at 82.5. I think that's a clear overhit. So I'm going to double down on that, but I'm going to say that they take the division easy. I don't think the Royals really did much to improve over the offseason. I know the Tigers have attempted, but I still think this Guardians bullpen is too nasty. The rotation's the biggest question mark, I would say. I mean, granted the offense is, the outfield's never been pretty, but they find a way. They're dogs. I don't know how they do it. Well, Jose Ramirez, but if their pitching can keep them in enough, this is a team that I think is, easily going to smack 82.5. But yeah, I take them to win the division again, easy.
When you say easy, do you want to put like a number of games on it between
Yeah.
them and second place?
Yeah, I'd say they take the division by 5 games.
Okay.
Okay. I'll get off the teams a little bit, and I will say that we are going to see a player in the American League put up 60 doubles this year.
Nice.
Nice.
No.
Not going to put a name on it, but he will be playing in the American League.
Okay. Wait, so let me ask, does this include it will not happen with a National League player?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll add that to the prediction. And if a National League player
I want
doesn't-
rarity. I'm trying to spice in
Alright.
rarity. Yes, an American League player will have 60 doubles this season.
All right. So I'm gonna write down an AL player will hit 60 plus doubles, but no National League player will do it.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so I wanted to get at least one like turbo nerd prediction in there because
Hell
it felt
yeah.
right to have at least one. And I wanted to kind of toe the line of like super advanced, but also enough to where people can follow it. So this is what I landed on. Roki Sasaki will own the lowest average spin rate on a splitter among all StatCast era seasons with at least 200 splitters thrown. That probably means nothing to a lot of people.
Add that on my list.
I've been watching them in spring training, been checking out the StatCast data. So just to explain, a sink or a splitter is kind of like a controlled knuckleball. You want to get low spin because it gives you a lot of drop. Players swing and miss at it. It's like a curveball, but it moves a little bit differently and it doesn't spin a lot. That's kind of a lot of the point. So I think Roki Sasaki will do that to a degree that no one else has done it in the era in which we've been able to track it.
I think the one thing that raises your rarity is over 200 splitters thrown.
That is fair. That's more just to make sure that he gets at least enough splitters.
But yeah, I seen your Twitter. You've been nonstop yapping about that splitter already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Them Japanese, they got some good splitters. I remember the old Daisuke Matsuzaka. He used to get a lot of strikeouts on his splitter for about 2 years until he was not a good pitcher really at all from 2009 on. My next prediction, I'll piggyback off the StatCast of that. I won't go too hard on it, but someone will hit a ball 125 miles per hour this year.
Wow.
Wow.
I believe the record's 122.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think someone
All
could
right.
do it, and you know, it'll shock us, and I don't, you know,
Oh, dude, the Giancarlo Stanton news is not good for this prediction.
Oh,
yeah, the likelihood is low, but you know, we got O'Neal Cruz out here, we got Ellie De La Cruz, we got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I feel like any of those, like if they hit it just hard into the ground enough, it won't be a home run. It'll be either a ground out or a single. But someone will do it. Someone will hit 125 miles per hour, and maybe it'll be a Statcast error, but I'll take credit if it does happen.
Fair.
On to Nico's next prediction.
Are you gonna parlay that in the sense of it's 125, not a home run?
Um, no, because I think, I mean, what the highest exit velocity on a homer is like 119 maybe. So I think it's just kind of given
Probably
that
119.
I think it
the
is in the yeah.
yeah the hardest ones like the hardest ones ever are like
Our grounders to
plays.
short.
Literally, Stanton hit a 122.4 mile per hour uh double play.
Yeah.
It was pretty insane. But yeah, Nico, your next prediction.
I'm gonna go back to a player prediction, kind of similar when we were talking like, like 50 or you're saying 60-60 type. I'm just picking a guy that I think is gonna continue to break out a little bit more. 131 OPS last season, but I think Lawrence Butler is gonna combine for 90 home runs and stolen bases.
Okay. Nice.
that's big time.
I mean,
That could be
he
a
went
Newly
2020
extended
last
Lawrence
year.
Butler.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that. I mean, that contract just reminds me of like every Braves contract. I mean, definitely a cheap deal. I mean, you get your security blanket there, but I think it was a really good signing for Oakland. Not a thing you say very often. Oakland
not a thing we
signing.
say anymore because
Well, now
they're
so
not
yeah, you
good
can't even
things.
say that at all.
Oh, oops, oops, oops. Do you have any Sacramento Athletics socks, Rob? You got everything else on.
No Sacramento Athletics gear in my closet just yet.
The Sac A's.
But all right, time to break out the craziest one I think that I have. Maybe the craziest one of this whole thing. I don't know what's on the rest of you guys' boards, but I think this one's pretty nuts. Coming off Tommy John, Sandy Alcantara will win the Cy Young for an American League team.
Oh, wow.
Sandy Alcantara will win the Cy Young for an American League team. We saw Luis Ariz get traded in May last year. Sandy's out the door pretty soon. He's going to win. He's going to be absolutely incredible. Get the plaque for an American League team.
That might be the most out there one of this draft so far.
That's
Wow.
that's what I was hoping for.
When you said Sandy Alcantara win Cy Young, I was like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of bold. I don't know if it's the boldest one. And then you dropped it.
It's dramatic. It's dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Timing is everything, like we were saying earlier.
You got the reaction you were going for, so congrats for
There
that.
you go.
Well, I'm gonna get the result I'm going for too when he gets traded to Baltimore in early May and wins the Cy Young or something like that. Just wait on it.
Yeah, if that happens, I will root for it. That'd be sick.
I mean, come on.
Like if he does get traded to an AL team, I will be invested. Okay. So I actually am going to follow that up with another Marlins trade related prediction. Jesus Sanchez will be traded before the deadline and will post an OPS plus of at least 130 with his new team. That's not a fun follow up to yours, but I mean, I think he'll get traded a little closer. I think he'll get traded a little closer to the actual deadline.
That's the closest that someone's had to like a pick of mine, where I have to alter now. I had a little Jesus on my board. I can't lie.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, my next prediction, I've been going a little wild, so we're gonna take it back to mild. And I will say with 10 of these, with these 10 predictions, I'll be happy if one happens. I don't really think, I don't really have a whole lot of faith in them, but this one might have one of the higher probabilities. And I think of three divisions in mind when I say this, but a team will win a division with less than 85 games won this year.
Okay.
So I could see that happening in both the Central divisions and the AL West. That's kind of where my mind goes.
So less than 85 as in not at least not 85 at most.
84 or fewer.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
It's happened before, 2005 NL West.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, the 80,
2006,
82 and 80 Padres.
'06 Cardinals were 83 and 79.
Yeah, and they won the World Series.
Yeah. So on to
It's
Nico's next
possible.
pick.
This one's kind of crazy, so I'm gonna like explain it for this season, but it's technically like multi-season here. Where I'm gonna say that Justin Verlander not like has a is gonna get 15 wins this season. I know it's a very important stat. He's gonna get 15 this year, but I do think he reaches 300 total wins for his career. I think he stays on the shelf long enough. Like
So
I
we're
think the take is that he gets 15 wins with the Giants this year.
okay.
But he's got a little bit more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I know the last, it hasn't looked so pretty now that he's older. But, I think if he gets a little bit of help there with that ballpark in San Fran, has, two solid enough seasons, and, by 3 years from now, he's gonna be like, like your friend's like old dog that's like, kind of blind. You're like, oh my God, you're still alive. It's like, he needs five more. He's gonna give you everything he's got.
What is he at right now
I
for
think it's like
wins?
262.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Also,
So,
just to be clear, you're saying 15 plus wins with the Giants, right?
well, I'll say this season. I mean,
Okay.
I'll say
Doesn't
this
if
season.
he okay, fair. All
Okay, so
right.
that brings it to my next one.
Yes, it does.
Okay. I am going to go with Isaac Paredes leading the American League in home runs.
Nice.
Nice. Nice. I'm so glad we got an ESOC prediction in there.
Let's go.
Per offered boxes. That's it.
Yeah,
When you
let's
say
go.
the league, do you mean the American League?
I said,
Major
yeah, the
League?
American League. The American
Okay.
League.
Very nice.
Mhm.
A little Brent
All right.
Rooker
Hell
versus
yeah.
Brady's competition here.
All right. So that brings it to me. We are in round 8 now. We have two more after this, after Chris and I. The Chicago White Sox. Uh, every team that everyone's very excited about this year will have multiple representatives in this year's All-Star game.
It is pretty bold, I will say.
Yeah, not gonna tell you who they are because I mean predicting this is already bold enough. They lost, they traded their one all from last year. So they will have at least, they will have multiple, at least two this year. I don't know if they're gonna appear in the game or not, but when Joe Davis is going through the lineups and he says from the Chicago White Sox, there will be at least two players named.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah. Um, um, yeah, this is my next prediction revolves around something that will happen in one single game. Bless you, Rob. There will be a combined no-hitter with 10 plus pitchers involved.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. No, never mind.
See it happen.
Wow. 10 plus.
how close was that? Like that Astros one from way back in the day.
It's a good question.
I think that that's the one. That's the first one that comes to mind in terms of like the closest that I think we've ever gotten to something like this.
Yeah, it's like, it's a bullpen day. Like I would in a situation like this, it would be a bullpen day, and some guys would give up some walks, maybe like 6 walks in the game, and some guys would come in, maybe someone would get the last out of an inning and then come out. And the bullpen would be fresh. So yeah, why not?
Perfect storm.
Yeah. All right, round 9, Nico, the penultimate round.
All right.
Penultimate.
I've got my two favorite picks back to back here. Because they're a little crazier. The starting first baseman in the American League All-Star game will be Kyle Manzardo.
Ooh.
Wow.
I mean, he ended the season pretty well last year. I mean, granted, very small sample size in spring training, but he's got a 13 OPS right now, or 1.3, sorry. But I think he's nasty. I think he's gonna have, like, again, I like the Guardians a little bit more, and like you look at that lineup, you're like, who's really gonna take that step up? And he's like the perfect candidate. Naylor out the door now. I can smell a little breakout.
So you're saying he's starting the game, right?
Yes.
So he's gonna get voted in by the fans then.
Well, there's gonna I don't my take for this is he's gonna be good enough where he's not gonna get voted in, but whoever gets first is gonna not play, and he's gonna get like
Okay. I'll,
Yeah, there's a
I'll keep the prediction as just he starts. Doesn't matter how he gets there.
So you're
That would be crazy.
that's my Guardians player to watch. So
Hell
Chris,
yeah.
I'd say Chris is gonna love that one.
yeah.
Nice. Well, you guys are gonna love this next one from me. In the year 2025, Zach Greinke gets to 3,000 strikeouts.
Yes.
That is the
Yes.
bold take. I don't know who it's gonna be with. I don't
Doesn't
know
matter.
at what point in the season it's gonna be with, but he's getting to 3,000 in 2025.
Let's go. I'd be happy, but there's
You want to
also
parlay
that
him and
that
Kershaw
part of
both
me
get
where it's
there?
like him just retiring at 29.79 is just so Zach Greinke. So
Well,
either way, it's a win-win for me, I think.
Yeah.
it's a win-win. I hope he gets there.
It would be cool. It would definitely be cool.
All right. This is my favorite prediction that I made, and I was hoping to make it under different circumstances to add a little more spice to it, but it didn't happen. But things ended up working out to where this pick actually works really well. The number of home runs hit by Shohei Ohtani combined in the regular and postseason will tie or exceed the number of months in Ibe Mizuhara's prison sentence.
60?
Yeah.
57.
Yeah.
57.
57. I was really hoping to make this prediction before the sentencing happened, just so it added another element of randomness to it. Because
It's gonna be real close.
He was facing up to 33 years in prison, so the number could have been astronomically high or like too low to where it just wasn't even a bold prediction. We landed on 57, which is like the perfect number because he hit 55 last year between the regular season and postseason, so it would be a lot for him, but it's very much within his range. So I have him tying or exceeding the number of months in the prison sentence.
There we go. There we go.
All right, all right. The theme.
I had
of the last round is
I had you
good.
guys speechless with that one for a second.
So yeah, this one is yeah, definitely in the randomness category, just kind of in just player news or transactions. A player will be traded 3 times between opening day and the trade deadline.
Okay.
Don't know who,
Three times?
3 times. 3 times between
Who's that guy on everybody's roster that's
Michael Bauman.
to be named later?
Yeah.
Billy
He gets
McKinney.
shipped around.
Billy McKinney. Who's the pitcher? Like the Latin pitcher that just kept
Jaime
getting
Garcia.
him too. No, this is like more recently. I forget the name. This was like 2022, 23. There's a guy that
Chavez?
legit, like during the off season, well, him too, but there's a guy that got like signed a DFA and like legit 10 times in a week during like Christmas time.
Oh, was it Contreras for the Angels? Rosner?
No, it wasn't him. I don't remember, but it was an off season thing between opening day and when the trade deadline.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, it wasn't like JJ Hoover.
Name.
That's a Cincy shout out for our grading guy, so he can bless
Yeah.
my scores a little bit better.
You know what my favorite dynasty was? Big Red Machine. I really enjoyed that. I don't think Brandon Phillips gets enough credit for his career.
He was that
Personally.
dude, bro. He was that dude.
Yeah.
What do you know about Zach Cozart?
Too much.
I think Devin Mesoraco was a pick in the names I haven't heard in a while draft.
He was the first pick in the guys who had that one season draft. He was like one of the first players that Brian and I talked about in person. And that's like how we first bonded.
Can I say my final pick?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. My final pick, definitely the dumbest one of them all, but I think an announcer gets fired mid-season, not based off performance.
Nice.
Okay. Someone makes a comment
Someone's gonna make a comment.
earlier tonight.
Yeah, they better have like everybody's Twitters better be clean. Like there's gonna be some old footage dug up.
Announcers are getting younger and younger now.
It's true. All right, my last pick. I wanted to throw in a little red sprinkle as well. Christian Encarnacion Strand will lead the Reds in home runs in 2025.
You are standing on this take for 2 years in a row.
Listen. I didn't say that last year. I just drafted him in F1.
No,
This year.
I said it. I said it last year. Talked to Rob about how in I was on him, and then Rob took him in F4, and I was like, oh, I wasn't that in.
And I'm
on
still
CS.
in this year. He's leading the Reds in home runs.
Excellent. I got to catch up on writing all this. All right. I wanted to make a college baseball prediction of some sort, so I decided to do so in really the only way I know how. This will mean nothing to you guys, but I'll go over the meaning of this pick. The Falmouth Commodores will win the Cape Cod Baseball League championship. Let it settle in.
That really
Big
hits hard in
prediction.
this room.
Yeah.
Dial in.
Falmouth has the longest active championship drought in the league. The last time they won it was in 1980. It's been a very crazy last year for the franchise. Their legendary coach, Jeff Trundy, who is like an all-time great coach, great person, coached a lot of really great players, unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And it's going to be their first season without their longtime manager, over 500 career wins. Their new manager is a guy that you guys might have heard of. His name is Jared Saltalamacchia. And I think in their first year they're gonna win it for Trundy. So I got the Doors doing it.
Very nice.
That's
very
also
nice.
my pander to Rob or to Brian pick.
Oh wow, we're just blessing the coach today. Shout out Saltalamacchia.
Yeah.
All right. Leads to the Mr. Irrelevant of the bold predictions draft. So I'm gonna try one. And as we know, 2025 is the first year in a while that the Yankees are allowing facial hair. But obviously it was reported that it's like well-groomed beards. So in 2025, a player will be sent down to the minors or released by the Yankees over their lack of grooming of their beard. It has to be reported by at least one of the Athletic, ESPN, the New York Post, or New York Times to be proven correct, because obviously the Yankees aren't going to say that this was over the beard. So it has to be reported by someone. So that is my prediction. A player will be sent to the minors or released by the Yankees over the lack of grooming of their beard.
That's awesome.
There we go.
That's a phenomenal pick.
Yes.
All right, so that does it for the draft. I'm just filling in the rest of the predictions here. Once I'm done with that, we can go back and read off all of our predictions just to refresh everyone. And I'm very excited to follow these this year. I think this will be the first draft where we can actually like determine a winner, which is exciting because we've just thrown together the teams and been like, all right, that's it.
I should have my last hot take that I win the draft.
Oh,
you don't get 11
so that
picks,
just I mean that just punts a pick basically because right because I guess you only I guess if you
I think it multiplies a pick though. If I gotta,
yeah maybe
I could balance out mine and say that none of my predictions come true.
Guaranteed
then
one.
if that happens, I at least have one.
I'm gonna hedge my picks.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so Chris, I got to fill in the exact wording. A player will be sent down to the minors or released
by the Yankees over their lack of grooming of their beard. And it must be reported by at least one of the Athletic, the ESPN, New York Post, or New York Times.
All right.
And then you want to run through everybody's picks?
Yeah.
Each person can go through them because I think hearing all of them back to back will just kind of it'll be kind of funny.
Okay, so with the first pick, I mean, I went, the Mets will miss the playoffs. I said my boy Spencer Schwallenbach will have the lowest ERA in the Braves rotation. The Reds will win the NL Central. Wilson Contreras will be traded before the deadline. The Diamondbacks win the NL West. The Guardians will win the AL Central by at least 5 games. Lawrence Butler will combine for 90 home runs and stolen bases. Justin Verlander wins 15 plus games. Kyle Manzardo will be the starting first baseman for the AL in the All-Star game, and an announcer gets fired mid-season for non-performance reasons.
Excellent.
I've got Christian Moore to win the AL Rookie of the Year. CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, and James Wood all to put up 5+ F4. Richard Fitz to make 27 plus starts for the Sox this year. No repeat division winners from last season. The Rays to win the American League East. An AL player hitting 60 doubles. Not an NL player, but an AL player. Sandy Alcantara to win the Cy Young for an American League team. Isaac Paredes leading the American League in home runs. Zach Greinke getting his 3,000th strikeout. And CES leading the Reds in home runs.
Fantastic. Great picks. Great picks all around. This is a fun draft. To start, my first prediction was that a World Series game will be postponed due to inclement weather. So we gotta wait a while to see.
I was gonna say we'll get it like for game one of the World Series. One thing we'll be excited or like we'll be like, all right, now's the time. Like, what's the forecast looking like this week?
I know we're gonna get through the whole season and we're gonna have to wait for my first prediction to even to come into action at all. Brent Rooker will out homer Aaron Judge in the regular season. I should add that. All three AL wildcard teams will come from the American League East. Clay Holmes will post the highest F4 of any pitcher in New York. A pitcher will strike out 300 or more batters in less than 200 innings pitched. Roki Sasaki will have the lowest average spin rate on a splitter in a StatCast era season with at least 200 splitters thrown. Jesus Sanchez will be traded before the deadline and post a 130 OPS plus or higher with his new team. The White Sox will have multiple representatives in the All-Star game. The number of home runs hit by Shohei Ohtani between the regular season and postseason will tie or exceed the number of months in Ippei Mizuhara's prison sentence, which is 57 months. And the Falmouth Commodores will win the Cape League Championship.
And yeah, on my predictions, my first bold prediction was there will be a 60-60 season this year. The next was the Angels will lose more games than the White Sox. Then a starting pitcher will win the Cy Young without qualifying for the ERA title. Then sorry, my notes are not scrolling. No American League pitcher will reach 180 innings. The Giants will not have a player hit 20 home runs this year. Someone will hit a ball 125 miles per hour. A team will win a division with less than 85 games won. There will be a combined no-hitter with 10 plus pitchers involved. A player will be traded 3 times between opening day and the trade deadline. And lastly, a player will be sent down to the minors or released by the Yankees over their lack of grooming of their beard. And yeah, that does it for
Wonderful.
That does it for the bold predictions draft.
Does anyone have any predictions that didn't make the cut that they'd like to share?
I had a more mild one that I didn't want to take after one of Rob's picks. I had James Wood winning a Silver Slugger.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple mild ones that didn't make the cut. I had Trevor Larnach hitting 30 home runs, having an 850 OPS.
It's a good one. I like that.
Nice.
I had
Yep, Nico.
I had Jesus Sanchez All-Star.
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, someone's gonna make it from that team, right?
Yeah, it
Brandon
would-
Pfaadt having a sub-3.
Okay.
I was kind of waiting for you to say that one. After I spit about the Diamondbacks, I was like, oh, he's gonna back me up here.
Yeah, it didn't end up making the final cuts, but it was definitely on the board.
Oh, a wilder one for me I put down was a pitcher will go on a streak of 200 plus batters without allowing a walk.
Ooh,
But
that'd be tough.
Kirby.
That'd be tough to track. I guess like it would probably get picked up nationally after a while, but yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to say Kyle Teal, Rookie of the Year. Like I think
Mhm.
same kind of thing with Christian Moore. I think he's a guy that they'll just bring up and he could produce early on.
Yeah. All right. So, the wildest prediction that I had, I didn't end up putting it for obvious reason, was that there would be an unassisted triple play in the majors.
Cool.
Which, if that happens, shoot me, because I would never forgive myself if I didn't put it down. I also had the longest home run of the season would be hit by Junior Caminero. I really wanted to pick this one, but just for content purposes, I went with the others. Chris knows that this is a prediction of mine, but I had Wyatt Langford wins AL MVP. I have the Dodgers win the NL West by 8 games or fewer, which I'm glad I didn't pick that because Rob would have just, humbled me with his much better, very similar pick. I had the A's will have a winning record, but I didn't do that because I picked the Brent Rooker one. I didn't want to double down on A's ones. This is a more obscure one for me, but I had Matt Wilkinson, who is a prospect that's never pitched above high A, will appear in a postseason game for the Guardians. I had there will be a grand slam in the All-Star
game. Division winners, wild card teams from the AL East. Let me hear it.
True. That is true. I had there will be a grand slam in the All-Star game. I had Roki Sasaki and Yoshinobu Yamamoto will both finish top 5 in NL Cy Young. A few more, and then I have Chandler Simpson, who's a Rays prospect.
I wanted to do something there. Oh, what'd you do?
I was going to say Chandler Simpson will steal at least 110 bases between the majors and minors. I had Rob, another one where Rob just had a better prediction that's similar. I said a playoff game will be held at a minor league stadium. And then the last one was the Marlins will have the lowest weighted batter age and weighted pitcher age in all of baseball. Didn't go with it because I had the Jesus Sanchez one.
Yeah, can you guess who the team that I had with less wins than the White Sox was?
Was it the Marlins?
It was the Marlins.
Yeah, I've kind of figured.
It was the Marlins.
This was a very fun time, and I'm excited to follow these along.
Yeah,
because I know our group chat's gonna explode if any one of them happens.
The last one I forgot to mention, I had World Series winner will go undefeated in the playoffs.
Wow.
Okay. That's a nice one.
That would be hard. The White Sox went 11-1 in 2005.
That's the closest. Yeah. In the 11 games to win the World Series era, I think that's the closest. The Royals went 7-0 before the 2014 World Series.
Yeah. Right.
And then they lost in 7.
I had multiple rookies play a prominent role in the World Series, but I wasn't exactly sure how to. I didn't think.
That's tough. That's a tough way to Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did anyone pick anything related to end of season awards? Oh yeah, Chris did with Cy Young. Okay, so.
I did with Cy Young too.
You did, yeah. You're right. All right, so yes, so yeah, we will revisit this after the awards season in November. And I'm very. This will be fun to follow for sure.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be like a bookend of a podcast. Maybe we'll get all y'all on and just for 15 minutes and just.
The way I want to do it is have Brian go through each prediction, starting with the most crazy to the least crazy, and then just reveal the results at the end.
Hell yeah.
Because we're not going to be able to keep track mathematically. If he's and this one gets -68, and that one gets +86, and this one gets negative,
Right. I think a cool way to do it would be him going individually and giving I was first pick, then I get my score, and then Rob gets his, see if it was better or worse,
Right.
A little bit of suspense, but that builds up.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. Well, that shall do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you were listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Check out the previous, 5 drafts that we've done?
Yes.
All together, episode 100, 150, 200, 250, and 300. Always a good time. Yeah, both Nico and Rob have been involved in all of them, and we've had some other people as well. But yeah, so go make sure to check out everything Rob and Nico do. Anything y'all wanted to plug or anything?
I don't gotta plug anything, but I want to just shout you guys out. Happy 350. That's
350. That's really impressive.
That's nuts, man.
Just keep
pat on the back. You guys give each other a hug over the Zoom camera for this, or a fist bump,
Oh shit! Other way.
That was great. Yeah, thank you guys as always for having us on. It's always great.
I look forward to this every 50 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely it's always something to get excited for, and this was a very fun and innovative idea that
Fangraphs provided for us.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that shall do it. Follow me on social media at Chris_Gianta on Twitter. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where Daniel and I will be previewing the National League Central and revealing the top 10 players in Major League Baseball. We will see you then.
This conversation is over.